Going live. You're live. I'll pull up. Welcome everyone that's joining in.
Thank you.
Alright.
It's getting more and more brutal every week.
What's getting more brutal?
Huh?
What's more brutal?
It's getting more and more brutal. Like, I feel like a certain. Huh?
Like releasing a game or
Yeah, just getting things done.
Did you ever get that music?
Yeah. At like 2 a.m.
Last night. This morning.
Yeah, this morning.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We are here thanks to Oklahoma, the volunteers of Oklahoma, and our speakers. Technically, you're the speaker today, just so you know. So this is Dave.
Oh, okay.
Just Dave is fine. Oklahoma is a nonprofit, volunteer-run organization that puts on 39 groups, 2 conferences, and sponsors free local events. We do all this to support our mission to advance the grassroots tech community of Oklahoma. You can learn more at techoklahoma.org. There's also a code of conduct up there. You can donate on there. And we are here at 36 Degrees North. They donate this space to us. They offer free workshops as well as paid co-working desks and offices for a monthly fee. If you want to find more information at the front desk. So that's the lowdown on Oklahoma. I recommend going to the actual website and seeing everything they have to offer. You'd be surprised at what other groups there actually are. There you go. This is Adrian. He's the other artist. And then this is Robin. She's another artist. We've been preaching the word of art about Adrian, or spreading the word of Adrian's art. I don't know what other way to say it. Well, I didn't want to say gossip, because that sounds negative. So you're going to show everyone else your art, the artists. That's happening later. We bought a website, guys. So we already have TulsaGameDevelopers.com, and it hasn't been updated in forever. And I bought TulsaGameDevs.com because it's a little easier to use. And then I hooked it up with this thing called Square. And I think that's what it's called. Anyways, it's being hosted right now, so if you go to the website, you can be like, there's nothing on here. That's ugly. The plan is to put everyone's portfolio on there and have like a portfolio section, like a release game. So the LinkedIn basically works as like, if you're looking down, it's like just a whole bunch of links, one after the other. Whereas this will actually be able to group them to be like, okay, these are the people that are, these are the artists, these are programmers, these are music people, these are release games, and stuff like that. So putting in a request to everyone in the group, and I'll post it in the Discord also. If any of you that are good at creating any type of art want to do branding assets, anyone, for whatever Tulsa Game Dev would be more than welcome. Like literally whatever you give us is what we'll use, as long as it's appropriate. And so, I know, right? Yeah, it turns out I was cut off. Yeah. But so we went to a conference a little while ago, and you think that? Yes. Right on. Grab pizza. Yeah. So we did. You know how we had like the booth? You were there, probably. All right. We needed like a banner that actually was like, "Hey, this is Tulsa Game Day," and like we do the meetup page and Discord and all of that, and we just wanted a unified, updated banner because it's been over 10 years since we've updated anything. So that's what we're at with that. So if anyone feels like that's something they want to jump into, also under Tornado Watch, the central room, I believe, is that office in case something happens, or the back, I think, are the next safest place.
That was only for 6.
It is, but just let you know, just in case.
They're starting to develop that.
It's going back.
They're starting to develop back to the southeast.
Okay. Anyways, that's the spot. We'll go to the bathrooms, and that's in our office. So this place is mainly concrete, so it should be good. All right, so Dave released a game, and we're going to ask him questions. Not too bad. It's been.
Sorry, it's gonna take maybe 30 minutes.
Oh, it's all good. You can jump over.
No.
We are recording, just so you know.
Okay.
So, Phil was going to say we bought the website for TulsaGameDevs.com. Okay. So we're going to card, it wasn't Square, it was card, it was an Angle website. So we're going to use that. And so instead of the link tree where it's just every link, group them together and stuff like that. So if you or anyone you know likes doing free graphic design work and wants to come up with a new logo and like branding stuff, just let me know. If not, don't worry about
I
it.
can try to pass it around at school and see if anyone's looking at it.
Yeah. So Aaron, there's pizza if you're into that, or drinks.
Righteous. Okay. I like just 8, but
Yeah, I know.
I'll probably eat some more. You know.
There is no dessert, so you guys have to suffer through just pizza. We bought a domain, TulsaGameDevs.com, and then we're trying to get branding for the actual like logo of the group and stuff like that. It's literally been over 10 years that they've been meeting here, so it's time to finally update it.
Yeah.
And then, all right, so Dave made Zofia. Does anyone actually know Dave is fine in the group, but has never actually seen his face? You didn't know?
Maybe.
Have you
I
seen
think I
it?
ran just like once or twice.
Oh, yeah.
You have it?
Yeah, I haven't.
Okay.
My memory of faces is long enough to say I have.
Same. Yeah. I run into people and I'll be like,
I'll have people walk up and go, I'm like,
From where? Yeah. I remember people at like random places, like if I check out at Walmart, so I'll be at Best Buy and run into someone and be like, oh, hey, how you doing? Like, I don't know you. I'm like, yeah, I do. And then I'll run into them at their work and I'll be like, oh, this is where I know you from. I see you all the time because you work at the same time I do. All right. So Dave, do you want to talk about your favorite things about finishing the game or your least favorite things more? And I'm going to shut up while you go for it.
I like my favorite thing is it's done. Wow.
Does it feel that much different?
No, not really. Because it was already in early access, so it wasn't really like this is a huge change. I mean, it does feel different, but it's not like the first time releasing it out. The game was not ever played. I'm a little disappointed that I really experienced Steam sale because I was like, just that's the way it worked out. But if you go onto the front page of Steam, it's like it doesn't show the new releases, and then it's like if you go click the little button that says new releases, then you can go see them. And like, I hit like put to 1.0, and I went to the front page of Steam, went to the new releases, and there was already 2 other games that came out after me in that like 30 seconds. So it's like. And I just looked at it again just earlier, and it was like 20 or something. So it was like, geez.
That new release thing, I don't know how many people are actually looking at that.
And mostly they just use the Discover queue, right?
Yeah, not many. So that's fun.
So when was it released?
An hour ago.
Okay. Any sales?
Do what?
Any sales?
I have no idea. I mean, probably, probably not yet. Get sales first. So we'll see.
It sends that email out when it's been released.
Yeah, but it's the spring sale. Like everyone got an email for everything.
Yeah, but they get a separate email for a release date.
They should if they're following it.
4 notifications from Steam today about sales, so. You can definitely see both sides of it.
Well, we will find out. There's lots of things that I still wanted to attack. That I was like, oh, I could do this, I could do this. And I'm like, I gotta put the pencil down at this point. Like, I have to go out the door. Like, I want to try and add more areas. I want to try to add stuff. It's like, no, let's just get it to 1.0. Like, dust settled, see where it's at. So that's kind of how it worked out.
How long has it been since you started working on it till 1.0?
Too long. I don't know, I'm not looking at the dates. It's been a while though.
I want to say it's been 6 years, dude, since I met you. Like this year would be 6 years.
I don't think it's going to stick.
Hmm?
Not the latest iteration of Zofia.
Since you came and were like, hey, I'm making this game. Well, because you were in that vacuum.
Was it 6 years?
Yeah.
So I think I've seen it being posted on the Discord since I started coming here, which
It's definitely been more than a few years.
has quickly hit 4 years for me, I think.
Yeah, he's at 4.
Yeah, it's probably around 4 or 5. Yeah.
It's 6, man. So,
Okay, it's 6.
yeah.
The last 2 years have just gone by in a blink of an eye, because
Yeah.
one of them was unreal completely.
Now, I did take a break there for a while, not quite a year, but several months. And then I did release another game in the middle of that, so a cafe game. But yeah,
So what's your favorite part out of making a game? Is it just releasing it or?
no, releasing is the most unfun part. Like, it's the worst, actually. For, like, making it, designing it, I would say most games have that fun part where it's like you're coming up with the idea, you're getting to prototype it, and you're like, this could really work, this is fun. And then you have the other 90% of game making where you actually got to make the idea. And that part's not as fun. But the first part, though, pretty amazing.
So working with Steam, is there anything you would tell people if they've never released a game on Steam? Hey, do this with Steam. Here's my tip and trick or whatever.
Like 200 things.
Just start barreling out. I know that happens.
This is like, keep on talking while I do other things. I did bring some keys to the game. If anybody wants them, if you already have it, it doesn't matter. I'm going to give you one anyways. So,
I already have one. Yeah, they just let you generate 1,000 of those if you want, right?
yeah, you can do as many as you want. This is more of like, give it to someone else if you so please.
Oh,
Did you read it as well? You want any more?
Sure.
Oh,
Sure, my friends, whoever gets it first gets it.
I do one more. I got like righteous a lot. You want to hand 2 down? These were leftover from previous expo things, so I've got to use them somewhere. Sorry, what was the question again?
Just anything
Oh,
about
about Steam.
Steam. Just to,
So,
everyone's releasing their game on Steam, right? For the most part.
man, I tried itch.io. Like, the traffic is like, no, I released the demo, so that's very different, but it's like, the traffic is like the entire time I've had Zofia on itch, like, I'll get those views and like clicks in like an hour on Steam. So, like, itch will be like, you have 200 views in the last 2 years, and then Steam is like, yeah, you got like 1,200 in the last hour. Have fun. So I'm just gonna ramble then. So what I learned from Steam is that Steam does not market your game. In fact, it's pretty I'm gonna give you some keys.
Oh, I already have one.
That's all right.
But Steam does not market your game, so you really have to do external marketing stuff. The other thing I've learned is that Steam kind of, the way it generates it or figures out like how popular a game is like if people are playing it and if they buy it. Gifts do not count. Steam keys do not count. And so, like if you just generate 1,000 keys and hand them out, you have 1,000 people playing, like that really doesn't give.
Yeah.
You have to have someone who has purchased the game on their own and is playing it on their own for it to generate any sort of like interest.
That's only on Steam, right?
It's only on Steam, yeah. So what's also annoying about that is that it basically like it goes for about 7 days and then it kind of like does the average of those 7 days. So if you have like a marketing push, you can't do here's something this weekend, here's something next weekend, because it basically will reset. So if you're doing marketing, it's like power through it the whole week. You know, if that makes any sense. So those are some things I learned. The other things I learned is that it's chaos and there are things that will happen that you have. It's like you got to put a game on early access, and it's like, oh, like I was reading actually a story earlier about someone who released a game and EA just dumped their entire backlog of library.
I heard about it.
Yeah, and it's like she got pushed off the front page, and it's like that's it. She's like her game crashed in marketing because she got unlucky. EA just surprised blindsided, but like that happens. But one of the people from Valve was actually talking about it, and they basically said, which was Chet something, I don't remember his last name, but he basically said Steam is really chaotic because like things that will like catch on, things like Valve themselves will be surprised when it catches on and it doesn't catch on. So it's not really like they're controlling it, they're not really like promoting anything specific, it's just whatever gets popular gets popular.
Mm-hmm. Where'd you do most of your external marketing?
Honestly, not a whole lot. Towards the very, like I'm gonna say more recently, I did the key mailer. I reached out to a lot of streamers. I mean, like hundreds. And I think basically it's gonna be Itch. And then I tried IndieDB, which was a site that was more popular 2 decades ago, not really popular anymore. And so those are the all places that kind of talked about it at.
How many streamers got back with you?
One.
That's about what I would have expected.
Yeah.
A 1% return.
I'm at like 0.03%, or no, 0.3%. So less than 1% return on streamers getting back to me. Like, and that's just like I would say for replying, it's like 1%. For like actually playing it, like
Follow
3%.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, almost 100% of the time they do not reply, they do not say anything.
Right.
But
Wovit, that's another Q-Miller's like competitor.
yeah,
And you could just run a free campaign, and then anyone that goes on there, you just give them a free key.
yeah.
But the difference is you can put on there like you can't accept the key unless you show that you played it.
Yeah.
So only people that actually don't play it will actually do it.
Yeah. So to date, I've had the key mailer running for I don't know how many, like a year now. I have not had a single request on it ever.
So they only want one point. And that sounds weird. Like
I mean that does make sense because since the genre is an RPG, a lot of people have even told me that they wouldn't want to commit to an early access RPG.
Right.
So because it's like who knows what you're going to run into, what you receive get deleted, who knows. So that's fair.
What's your neatest review so far? We have a 12 paragraph one on Emmy
Yeah.
of someone that just hates the game.
At least they were moved by it.
Yeah.
How long did they play it before they left that? 20 minutes.
20 minutes. They spent more time writing
Writing
everything.
I mean, so if we're being totally honest, like if you go on any gaming discussion forum or Reddit or whatever, there'll be like people complain about Hollow Knight, about how like, oh, Hollow Knight's too indie and doesn't look like whatever. Some people are just unsatisfied. Yeah. So I had one that basically complained about like just everything down the list, like the graphics suck, the controls suck, the story sucks, there's no cutscenes, the sound's awful.
Was that the curator?
No, actually.
Oh, okay.
It was someone else that just posted like basically in the discussions. There was a curator, which honestly he wasn't wrong. It was like at the time that like he got a copy of it, played it. There was like a lot of sound missing, and that's kind of a long story. But there's a lot of things that were just missing from the build, and so like complaints were legitimate. So it's like, and it sucks he threw out a negative review, but it's not like he was like going out there just bashing things. It was like just critical, but they were legit.
Yeah, he said he's gonna review it again once it releases too, so.
Yeah,
Or update the review.
we'll see.
I've only given positive reviews. If like I hate a game, I'll just delete it and move on.
Yeah, most people will actually do that. There's not that many that just throw out negative stuff. Some people like I've seen this come up on like Twitter and stuff back in the day, but some people like they'll follow or they'll figure out like not follow, but like they'll go to the profile for writing negative reviews. And some people like that's all they do. They just write hundreds and hundreds of negative reviews like every single game they can.
Yeah, I got one
like-
person like that, but that was just like, what they did was just bash stuff.
Yeah.
And they grow up and get the local news comment section of Facebook or whatever.
All right, I have a random one. So, did you put your information on Giant Bomb? Okay, because Twitch scrapes Giant Bomb for what games and uses their art assets and stuff like that to then put it on Twitch so that if someone's streaming it on those services, that's how you do that.
You have to
So-
get approved to post on Giant Bomb.
Yeah, you have to get approved. It's easier to find someone that, because there's someone that already does it. Just be like, hey, this is my game and it exists. I'll give you a free copy if you fill it out. And
So-
they do it.
And I'm going to be remembering this wrong. But so Twitch uses I don't remember what database site game
Giant
database.
Bomb.
But no, it uses something else. It scrapes Giant Bomb to fill in information, but you can log into whatever that is and you can set that information. Not Giant Bomb, like another site.
Oh, okay.
I don't remember what it's called now.
When I did it, it was Giant Bomb.
Okay. I didn't think Giant Bomb was still around, to be totally honest.
Is it?
Yeah.
Still is.
Still is? Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like totally changed the owners or something like twice now. Yeah, but
It was named Jeff Richard, he still runs that.
yeah.
I used to call him, but not really.
All right. Does anyone, do reviews actually bother you in one way or another? 'Cause I normally, like, I will get certain ones and cry, and then I'll get other ones to be like, man, you're right. So that's, I don't know who's your,
Yes and no. Like it's like getting a negative review. Like you want to like fix it instinctively. So it's like there's things I want to change right away. There's things that, or whatever. But it's like I don't know. Kind of like what I said. Like some people just like complain, and like you can't satisfy everybody. So like sometimes you just get a negative review, and you're just like, okay, that's what it is. Sucks, but all right, I'm gonna move on.
so what's your next game?
A week vacation away from any computer-related stuff, and that's going to be my next week.
Okay, I'm asking a question. You guys are trying to release games on Steam. It's like also used Unreal. Like, just ask any questions. Nothing. Sorry, put you on the spot.
Does anyone have any questions?
Yep.
I gotta remember.
How long were you developing it? What review, so like 5 years?
Apparently, like 5 or 6 years, yeah. Because I'm like, I think it's been like 4 or 5. I'm like, no, it's definitely been over that.
Now, in hindsight, do you think you should have spent that long? Do you think you should have released earlier? How do you feel about it?
I should have not spent that long. Because I feel like a lot of hard lessons I learned was actually about the release process and like how to do updates and all that stuff. I think taking that long means you have less and less time to actually learn those steps, which are pretty critical. So if I had to do it all over again, I would have done like a much smaller version of the game and do it like a year or something, and it was still going to be like this big of a scope, and then move on to the bigger ideas. But that would have been like perfect world if I had foresight. I know I've heard a lot of people say this about, oh, I want to work on a big idea or my dream game or whatever. I think that's really a flawed tactic. Because if you haven't done the release cycle, if you haven't done like knowing how to patch things, if you haven't done like learning about when to release a game or when to, like, what does your description look like? All those little steps. Like, I don't know, I think it's easy to fumble that.
Was this your first game?
No. So I have 2 games on Steam. I also helped Daniel publish one as well.
You were a programmer.
And what?
You figured out. Are you talking about Val?
Yeah.
Yeah, you figured. We did. Yeah, we released a game. Didn't we?
Yeah, so this is my 3rd game on Steam. I have several other small ones that are like on pitch and stuff, but not really anything further.
You said you got like paused in the middle of development and released a different game on Steam, is that right?
Yeah.
Would you recommend that for somebody that's working on a large game that's like, maybe I should just do, like, did you learn a lot of review process, or did that just kind of slow you down from
No.
getting Zofia?
I would say it was useful. I mean, I think it's a pretty good idea. So the game I paused to work on, I took a break from Zofia for, I don't know, 7 months. I worked on a game called Crescent Cauldron Cafe. It was a little cafe game. I made it in a month. And so it was just like, here's a little break. I can not think about RPGs for a while. And it was pretty easy. It was pretty fun to do, and I made this way. So, and I feel like I got more confident about releasing Zofia to early access from that process. So,
Do you plan to release Zofia on anything else? I mean, I know you're probably sitting back for a while, but have you entertained the thought of like Switch, Xbox, something like that?
I think the Switch would be really cool. So as far as I understand it, you pretty much have to have a publisher as an indie dev to be able to get the Switch. And so that conversation would be kind of difficult. But I think the other conversation would be really difficult is that Zofia has online play. I'm guessing that that's not even going to be worth it for me to pursue. So I think it would have to be like, here's the single or the single player version or whatever. Like, don't even worry about split screen or anything. And it's like, is that worth it? I don't know, to be honest. So I've heard people also say that when you go on Switch, like, you're not, like, on Steam, you're competing against a lot of other indies and stuff like that. On Switch, like, you're competing with Mario, you're competing with Zelda, and like, that's a much, much, much harder thing to fight against or market against. So it's more King Griddle.
I say that as somebody who's recently gone on the Switch store and been like, these are some
There's some jig on
low
there.
budget games. And I was like, yeah, I feel like, I wonder if it's gotten easier to get on this platform.
It hasn't. The people, because like, who's the publisher that actually gave you a quote on how much it would cost?
Gosh, I already forgot their names.
I'll look them up. Reindeer was the other one that like
Red Deer.
Red Deer. They will
Don't work with them.
Don't work with them, but like you could probably work with them. They didn't seem right. They had they rubbed me the wrong way. But they can get on there and they have 1,000 games and they all go down to like 50 cents. Whenever you could do that. Now it's $1. Switch has a rule now, you can't go anything smaller than $1.99, except for DLC.
It was Cerulean Games.
Cerulean Games.
They got back with me. They wanted $18,000 to port my game to Switch.
Wow. And release it or do there. Right?
Yeah, I do all the working with Nintendo and like making sure that it's compatible with the Switch. It sounded like they were going to do like all the hardware, that end of it, and they would just like contact me if they needed me to fix something. So that's
Which
probably
game
where
was
most
this?
Moncon.
All that being said, I recommend ID at Xbox for everyone here. I love them. That's how I got on Xbox. And they give you 2 dev kits for free as long as you're accepted. And all the stuff that you would do they are ready for online. And also, if you do that, you wouldn't need dedicated servers, would you?
No,
So, yeah,
because they're getting self-hosted.
because they have all of their own stuff on like how to do that correctly. And it's on the website. It's written out like this is what you do step by step. Daniel proves it that I could finish a game on Xbox, so I recommend Xbox. I also like PlayStation. They have one caveat, and that's you have to have a static IP address to access their servers and stuff to contact them.
It's kind of a pain to get.
Yeah.
I'm unsure for mine. Honestly, I'm gonna wait till the dust settles to see how I feel about it or whatever.
I think you'll do better on consoles than on desktop.
Probably. I've heard that from a few different people.
Yeah.
So like it would be a good console game.
Especially the Xbox, because those people already want to play with other people with like live and stuff like that. So like they're already bought into the whole system.
Yeah.
Doing that. Yeah. I had another random thought or question. It was about, oh, all right, so if you're going to jump from a big project to smaller project for a brief period of time, do you have like a rule on like it needs to be so much time, it needs to be a certain size, it needs to, like, what's your criteria for if you're going to jump ship briefly?
Well, for me, it was I didn't want to spend that much time doing a side project, so I set myself to like a hard deadline for 1 month. But that wasn't really so much that like it needed to be done in a month. It was so much as, or I'm sorry, it wasn't so much that I didn't want to not focus on my other project for a month. It was like I want to try and do the whole process in a month and see if I can get a little faster at it and see if I can get better at the process overall. It's about like getting the Steam page created, getting all this information going, like having to put out there, doing the updates, and getting it all set up to have like a menu and controller support and everything like that.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to ask questions I probably shouldn't ask, but what was the hardest part about building an Unreal, and then what was like your favorite part?
In Unreal specifically?
Yeah, when you're making the game for Unreal to get to Steam to get it released, like what was like your favorite thing and like least favorite thing?
So I'll start with my least favorite. I can think of that right away. So Zofia has split screen, which is a feature I do not recommend in some cases. But I ran into hyper-specific split screen issues that are like, it's not even like, oh, I implemented it wrong. It's like, they're like, the engine does not support this. Like, this is something that is impossible. You will have to go into the engine and change how the code works directly. I was like, okay, that sucks. Some of the things I didn't discover until way later on. It was like I was working on adding like UI stuff. I was working on this, and it's like back 6 months later. I'm like, okay, finally, let's do a test through all the online stuff, all the split screen, and then I discovered this critical bug with like the UI 6 months too late. It's like, but there was lots of parts where it's like you'll have a visual effect on the you walk into an area and there's a visual effect, and it's like the top screen looks all right for player one, the bottom screen it's like completely distorted or it doesn't render at all or whatever. Go to look it online and everyone's just like, yeah, that's an issue, and then you find someone who's just like, yeah, I could never fix this because apparently Epic says it's a bug. One of them was a bug that was posted in like 2016, and Epic still hasn't fixed yet. So, and I think it's still present in Unreal Engine 5. So it's like, but unfortunately, split screen stuff is like so low on Epic's radar. Now that we're about like Hollywood and stuff, So, my favorite parts about Unreal has been that there's some things that I thought would be really, really, really difficult to do, and were like not even a problem. Like what? Like setting up all the online stuff wasn't near as bad as I thought it would be. Now, granted, I didn't like nail it perfectly by any means, but there were several steps where I'm like, this is going to be like the worst thing ever because everyone talks about how bad this is, and it was like I had online play going in like 30 minutes. And yeah, not a lot of things weren't working correctly. Like in the first instance, it was like it was much easier to set up than I thought. And then having integrated with Steam, it was like there's a lot of things that's like, oh, yeah, there's a Steam username, cool. We're already there. We're already running. So that was nice.
Was that the Advanced Sessions plugin though, or was that out of the box?
No, that was it has some stuff out of the box, but that was part of the plugin. That part specifically. But yeah, I set it up with DirectIP Connect originally because I thought that was going to be a good idea, and I got that going very, very quickly. So
I mean, that's what I always did to get it started. Like, how do I figure out online? But then there's better ways.
Yeah. So for another negative, plugins. I love and I hate plugins. This is like, it's like a mixed relationship. So whenever you upgrade the engine, plugins do not, like, you have to upgrade the plugins like side by side with the engine to like match the version. Sometimes it's a really easy process, sometimes it is not. And sometimes you just run into like full-on bugs with the plugins. The other things I hate is that you're kind of at the mercy of some of the plugins. Like, so with Zofia specifically, we're using like 5 plugins, I want to say. And some of them we ran into issues that because we have very specific use cases that did not work with like online play. Specifically, not to get into technical like muddle here, but so if there's like a dialogue system and everything, and there'll be like events that trigger when you talk to someone like play an animation or they'll do something. That doesn't play well with online, with the internet, connected like clients and whatever. So we run situations where it's like, okay, if you're a client and you talk to this person, then it breaks everything. If you're the host and talk to this person, then everything works fine. It just jumps like that. And that's really, really, really fun to troubleshoot when you like just figure out that's what happened midway through a play session after you've already had the game in early access for a while, and you're like, shoot, I never thought about this person triggering a dialogue thing. And we've had to modify some plugins because we're using Font for our audio stuff. And so there's some stuff that ties in with that, and it's like, it's really weird to say basically, this plugin, you have to require this plugin, and this plugin has to require this plugin. And you gotta run side by side, don't mess anything up. And then of course then it breaks, and you don't know where it's from. You gotta figure out what's going on there. And then Real is really fun because when the plugin breaks, it just straight up like go to launch it and it's like, no, plugins are broken, you're not going in. Like, editor is not opening at all. It's like, okay, cool.
Yeah, you go turn it off.
Yeah, you have to go in and disable the plugin. And then it loads up the project and goes, hold up,
Where's your plugin?
where's the plugin? Everything's broken. Let's see. So another good thing about Unreal Engine. So going into a little backstory, I worked with a lot of engines actually. So I worked with, I say worked with. I've done stuff in CryEngine way back in the day. I did stuff with Torque Engine and Source Engine. I used to do some Half-Life 2 modding. There are some things that Unreal Engine does that's really, really nice that you don't appreciate until you like haven't had them. But like being able to do like automatic LOD, like oh my gosh. I remember having to make manual LODs for stuff back in the day. And like the occlusion rendering where it's like, you know, if you're looking at a building, you can't see what's behind it. Unreal Engine's like, yeah, it works out of the box. So that was not, because I remember back in the old days of like Quake and stuff, you have to set up portals where it's like you walk into a room, it's like, okay, anything adjacent out of here won't be rendered. And it was like this horrible setup for interiors to make it run decent. But Unreal Engine's like, yeah, put down some meshes. 500K polygons, don't worry about it. Keep on moving. Oh, you use 200 materials? That's not great, but okay, whatever.
There. I used to do it a for a little bit of work in Source. Did not do that out of the box? I thought it did.
I think Source did, yeah.
It doesn't.
Okay, because I was mostly just making
What does
like,
that mean?
So when you're doing your maps and whatnot, you can mark areas that say, hey, after this line, you're entering a new area for occlusion. Everything over here will stop rendering. And you can set that all up in the map. And so if you're doing everything just on the software code side and using an app that was built either specifically for Half-Life 2 or Counter-Strike or came out of house or was built by someone who knew what they were doing, you'll have no problems. But like my start was in the Aries model. I was hired on by servers to look at what they're doing and tell them, hey, you need to fix this, 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 and I can fix all this. The biggest one is they load in one of these RP downtown maps that have been
86 gigabytes big.
clobbered together by people who just took one, decompiled another one, and just mashed them together. And so you walk from this corner around the corner, and it goes, okay, now all of this has to load in, and it freezes. So if you go in and tell it, no, 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 we're actually going to wait until we get to here to do the occlusion instead, it smooths out. So it handles it, but you can override it, and sometimes it doesn't handle it, and you have to override it, especially if you're working in very large interior areas or exterior areas. It's really bad with exteriors and places where you have a lot of things that will only block for a little bit. And so, yeah, it does, but not the way modern engines like Unity and Unreal do nowadays.
Didn't Source never really have like proper multi-core or multi-threading? Like it would have it, but it was like super basic, didn't do much.
I thought it did okay on that.
Source or Source 2?
Source 2, I'm sure is fine.
I think they're
Source
about as
1.
multi-threaded as Unity or Unreal is nowadays.
Okay.
They have their own thread that they say this is the only thread that's going to run, but they do have other things they can pass off because, especially after episode 2, they did a whole work on redoing their particle system for that so that they could do cool visual effects without it being on the CPU. So another one of those cases of Valve is great at yes and no.
Valve games are really pretty. Valve is not good at finishing a story.
Happens.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that I think like if you work with it, it's like when you move to like Unity and Unreal, you're like this is great. Auto LEDs, auto collision, you get the automatic collision control, you don't have to like mess with nitty gritty stuff. You're like, why is this not working?
I miss Hammer
Yeah, Hammer was so much
for
fun.
laying out exteriors and interiors and everything, but I can live with Pro Builder. I'll get used to it eventually.
How many unfinished Hammer maps do you have?
Like still around, or
Just
because I purged so much of my
Yeah.
SDK days. Most of mine looked unfinished, but I set out and finished what I set to do. I built a chessboard. It's just the board. Everything else is empty space. But I was happy with it. And I built like an entrance to like Fallout style wall. It's just the entrance. You push the button, bells and whistles go off, things go over here, things go over there. It's 8 feet long, that's it. But hey, you push that button, all these other lights go off, warnings and sirens. I was happy with that.
I have like super technical questions.
Okay.
All right, so did you go from sessions to advanced sessions at all, or did you just always use advanced sessions?
I could always use advanced sessions. No, well, so I did the direct IP stuff initially, so I guess that
Yeah.
would have been just normal sessions, and then we moved to advanced sessions.
Because all my stuff right now is set up with sessions, and then I'm like, okay, I need to make the jump over,
Yeah.
and then I'm lost on game framework. I know it sounds weird. All right, so game instance is a global thing that the whole game fits, and then each like thing after that is game mode, right? It's the next like major one.
I guess, yeah.
Okay, and then your game state, player controller, player, all of those then fit within the game mode. So you have the game instance, game mode, and then everything else is like a list inside. Do you have any idea what order stuff actually gets loaded in? Because from what I can tell, the game state is like on a server, but so is the game mode, but the game state seems to, because you can jump game mode to game mode on game state, but you can't really jump game state to game state on a game mode. Like, it was really weird. And I was trying to figure out like the order of operations or framework. I didn't know if you had anything. Like, oh yeah, it looks like this. You're like,
I am like
way in the weeds.
99.9% sure that Epic has this graph showing
I can't find it anymore.
like,
They have the old one.
because I've seen a picture of it, and I'm pretty sure it hasn't changed, because like, honestly, like how they did it in like UDK,
Yeah.
it's like the same methodology of the game and game instance, or at least very, very, very close. It's like, at its core, it's still the same engine. You know?
Okay. Because I'm trying to find.
But so, okay, I'll answer a different question. In Zofia, I have not needed to touch the game state at all. That's something that I've never even, it is stock game state and it has not been needed to be
So
modified.
the reason I'm doing it is because the levels will change, and so will like going from the lobby to this and keeping a score system. Like, okay, this person has 3 points, this person has 4. We need to switch to the next level. keeping it in there if you can't keep it in game mode. And so like I was trying to figure out what things get done. Sorry, it loaded. Yeah, I can't find. I know the photo you're talking about, but then they had a more in-depth one that was like, man, what was the guy's name? Sermon or something like that. Under Epic. But he did a talk, and then he was like, okay, I'm gonna do the deep dive on all of this. So he's like, here's the main game framework. He's like, now we're gonna do art. Here, if you load in an asset, you know, the skeletal mesh goes here, this, and did all of the frameworks for every aspect of the engine. And I can't find it anymore. And like, this is the most valuable thing I've ever had.
Yeah,
So anyways,
I'm not sure.
okay. I should probably just switch to advanced sessions. I finally got it to where I thought I had messed up. It turned out everything was fine the whole time. I just, on yours, does everyone have the same username, or are you able to change usernames if like, if you run like 2 or 3, like you go to standalone game and then you run like 3 standalone games, and then you're trying to get them all to link up and be like, okay, we're going to join a lobby. Do they all have the same name, or do you have a different system to do
Because
that?
it's tied to Steam, if you have Steam running, it'll use your Steam username.
It's the same on each one.
Uh,
Because it is for me, that's why.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought I was crazy.
It's on the same computer. with
See, that makes
Steam.
sense, but I was like, no, there has to be a way to do this, and like I wasn't finding it.
But yeah, you have to have 2 different Steam instances or something for it to pull from different usernames for that. But if you're not on Steam, it'll pull like the machine name, like the hardware name, and that's what it'll use.
See, that's what it uses for my server name, but not my username. Like, if I go to a lobby, it shows up as like,
I have it set up so that rather than showing the machine name, if it goes to pull your Steam name and if Steam is unavailable, it'll use your character's name and the actual game. So if you named yourself like, you know, this is Bob the Ranger, then that'll be your name.
so I don't have usernames like that, so
Yeah.
that's why that makes sense.
So
Does anyone else have other questions? I was going to ask other technical questions.
Yeah, I don't know if mine's technical or not, but when it comes to working with the Steam framework package, whatever it is, are you able to get started working with that before you have a Steam developer account?
no,
No.
Okay.
we just do the developer account. That's not hard to get done.
Is your Steam developer account in any way tied to your main Steam account?
I would not.
I would not, yeah.
Okay.
It can
But
be
you can, but you shouldn't.
I mean,
Well, like, I have mine added on there, because you also get a free copy of every game they make.
Yeah.
And so I don't have to like, oh, let me get this key or whatever. I'm just one of the devs. Is my personal account. But like, say something weird happens and Steam's like, hey, we're gonna ban your game or whatever, you would lose all of your Steam stuff, your personal stuff, which
Yeah.
apparently happens at random. But I haven't.
at random?
I mean, it's not at random.
Well, so the fear would be like if, I don't know, you have some important thing in CSGO, like Counter-Strike, and someone goes to try and hack your account, then you get your access to your account, stuff like that. Or or if you get VAC banned somehow, then that would also be bad. But I was just doing it just to separate, like, you know, I don't want like some random person DMing me when I'm playing something and be like, hey, could you fix that bug or whatever. Like
That was my experience just in Gary's one stuff. You realize you're the one writing the dev code. They're like, hey, can you?
No.
I mean, I probably can, but are you going to pay me?
Yeah.
You take CSGO Steam.
I feel like that's when you make a nice little help box and you just have it go to directly to the trash. Yeah, your suggestion, there you go.
Oh, that is something I will mention about Steam, that everyone will learn as soon as you make a Steam account and release anything. So the support email, it'll ask you to set up a support email for whatever, if someone goes emailing support. 99.999 whatever to infinity, sometime, no actual person is going to use that email. So just set up like an alias that can go to an inbox that's like, you know, whatever, you know, like an alternate Gmail or if you have an Office 365 as an alias, and then just have it filtered out and thrown into the junk. Because almost all of them are going to be scams. Like legit, I put Zofia in 1.0, and within like 4 seconds, I have like 30 people being like, hey, I'm part of so-and-so. We're a gaming club, and we want keys to test your game. We need like 30 of them.
Yeah,
I give everyone one key.
That's
Yeah.
what I do. Yeah.
And-
Even if they ask for multiple keys, just give them one.
Yeah, and what's weird is some of them are legit. Like they're actually like, oh, thanks, our club loved this and stuff.
I was actually, so I was really worried. I'm like, what if there is someone who's legit here? So I actually did a lot of follow up in the game club thing, or whatever, following their like curator page. or
Curator
whatever.
Connect.
And I went to go look at them, and almost all of them, like almost all the ones I got, which were like 35 initially when I was in early access, were like the same 2 people for like all these curator groups and stuff. It was like the same exact 2 accounts.
Yeah.
And they're both these Russian guys, and they have like 700,000 games in their library or whatever.
That's a funny number.
Yeah, so it was just like, okay, well, I guess this is what they do.
If I really like gaming, you better give them to me.
But from what I understand, I don't remember how they do it, but somehow they basically will try and share these. There's a YouTube video that talks about this, but they'll share your game with all these people for free, basically.
Yeah.
Not that like they're necessarily all going to be playing your game all at once, but
Yeah.
it's kind of what they do, or they just sell it on the gray market. But anyway, so I looked at all the ones I got, and all of them were like legitimate.
I don't care. I will look at the scammiest of scams and be like, here's your free key, dude.
So,
Well, I looked at it as I needed them to go put the thing on G2A and all the other gray marketplaces as advertisement that spreading the word of like, hey, the name of the game is out there.
Yeah, because there's no bad publicity. Like even if people are pirating or playing games, they're still playing their game and they're going to tell other people if it's good.
Yeah, see, I'm not even on Pirate Bay. Like, how unpopular are my games?
Well,
I'm not even for free.
There is, because they don't use Pirate Bay because they usually, sometimes all like crack or release groups, they like to put like miners or something in their game, like Bitcoin miners.
Oh, yeah.
And so that's a big problem that a lot of people try to avoid.
Mhm.
But no, there are websites where they'll get the game, they'll just dump all the Steam clean files. And they usually have like Steam DRM on it by default, but it's like super easy to crack or get around.
Yeah, my first game was on crack before I even released it.
Was it really?
The game itself wasn't on it, but the Steam the page, I'm like, what the heck?
That's weird.
Oh, well, do you know what site it was?
It was something cracked or something like Steam crack or something.
I'm not sure what that is.
Those people are never going to buy your game, though.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, some people just pirate games just because they can pirate games.
Like,
Yeah.
you
So
just
it's like-
need to accept that your game is going to be cracked. Someone's going to pirate it for free, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
Well, because
So-
especially like the people that go out like AAA games and stuff, they don't care about the game. Like, they just want to break it.
yeah.
That too, because
Yeah.
they want that clout. That's
Yeah.
what they want. They release their whole stupid text file like this was cracked by me and gets to all the other releases.
I don't have-
like that. Which is so stupid.
I was actually reading about like drama between them and stuff. It was very.
It's the funniest thing, isn't
Yeah.
it?
I don't have any DRM or anything, so like if you were just like, actually, it's everything I think is free on itch also. So if you like really want a copy, like just go grab it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually what, so it's kind of funny, I put my cafe game on itch and Steam, and like people bought it on Steam and nobody downloaded the free version on itch.
Mhm.
So it's like, okay, well, whatever.
Yeah. So, quick on you for a second. All right, Adrian is an artist, so Chris is an artist, and so is Robin. I mean, she's working on it. So she's doing pixel art. What art advice or teachings or wisdom would you be like, oh, here's this?
Keep at it.
Just like
Keep
raw.
at it.
Keep on going. So, said you're doing pixel art,
Yeah.
and what do you do? Big model. Pixel art, there's a lot of fun stuff out there. You can, there's all these kind of games, so there's a lot of great resources, but checking out websites like Spriter's resource and stuff like that is really helpful. It's just a bunch of different sprites from every game imaginable. So it's a really great way to see inside of how they set up frames, just all kinds of stuff, color palettes and stuff like that. A cool website is Cooler, and it's a random color palette generator, but it's really great because it's you can find like all kinds of like palettes that other people are using that are a little more popular, and maybe they have a little bit more color theory behind the stacking and stuff. So that's a great way to also just kind of like look up that reference. As for community programs, do you
Well, I was looking at my
you're on Blender? I mean, Blender's great. It's free. Plugins aren't always free, so it's funny, but yeah, Blender's great. So are you doing 3D art to like images, or are you just doing it for like a weekend? Yeah, I'd just say for Blender, there's Blender's like biggest point is UV, and there's a lot of really great UV tools out there. A really popular one is Prism. It's a little more expensive though, so you know, shy away from that one. But you can find stuff that's similar to that, like Impact Master and stuff like that. And some good UVs for your like models and stuff like that can really go a long way. Especially if you start to dive more into like materials and stuff like that, and whatever package that you're working with. So you need your because you do a lot of like tiling textures and small tiling textures and stuff like RGB maps, which is maps that is in all three channels of texture. You can generate some really high detail and optimization, which is use secondary UV channels, so you have one UV channel and a secondary UV channel and do all kinds of crazy stuff. And if you're working in Unreal, they have a modeling tool set now that's built into it where you can actually make new UVs and have second, third, fourth, however many channels you want. You don't have to leave. You go to the channels. They also got really great numbers and stuff like that. So let's say you're like a color or something and you want to convert, so you do all that in Unreal. So it's pretty cool. I wish I could be more solid guys, but it's a very broad question. So, but if you have any questions, I'm on Discord. As we talk to
Your username.
Oh,
Is it just a
I think it's just Adrian Carter.
Yeah,
I think I made it simple.
go?
I got the little frog. Let's see, I for now. Until I make something else. But that's what unless you have questions.
Did you guys have some trouble like when you began like trusting the process? Like I'm having so much trouble doing that.
Trusting the process.
Yeah.
That's always.
Which process, like the game development itself, or like the game design?
I haven't made any games yet. I'm just kind of like starting to draw.
She thinks it looks ugly when she first starts.
Yeah, yeah. I understand what you're saying, and that's just the thing. Like I do a lot of sculpting and stuff like that, and it's the most frustrating thing because I have a lot of people who are always like over my shoulder watching when I'm at work or something. Like, oh, what are you doing? And I'm like, it's ugly. Don't look at it right. I promise it's gonna look fine. And they're like, yeah, it looks pretty bad right now. I'm like, thanks for the vote of confidence. And then they come back and they're like, oh, that's pretty nice. I'm like, yeah, no, but no, yeah, you just. I think it just comes with like time and practice and stuff like that. But eventually you get to the point where it's like you know what it's going to look like, and you're just trying to figure out how to mold it into that. And, so that's just, at least for myself.
Also, like just something that if you're realizing that something is going wrong or you're not happy with it, you can also actually like because you're able to go to that point and you're like, oh, you can totally do this. And then you'll always look back at your work and see everything that's wrong with it. But that doesn't mean that you can do it to get better. So even if you're feeling bad about it, you can still be like, okay, this is a good sign because I am improving.
Yes, she actually needs to solve one. That's actually called eye and hand level coding. And it's a thing you can find on YouTube. There's a lot of artists that talk about it. but essentially it's just the idea that you draw something one day and you're like, hey, I did a good job. That's because your hand level's here, your eye level's here. And then you go to sleep, right? You wake up the next morning and it's like, oh, well, that wasn't that great. Why did I think that was that great? And most people see that as like, oh, I'm not as good as I thought I was, or oh, I didn't do as great as I thought. But really what it is just so you're getting better. And so you're trained not only your eye, but your hand. As an artist, that's the two most important things.
You know, there are also instances where I'd be drawing something and I would think it looks good, like I'm just drawing from reference and something. But like I finish it, I post it, I share it, and then I immediately see them like side by side and realize, oh, that's not right at all.
Yeah.
And like it's just because you're staring at it for so long, you just kind of like it all kind of starts to blend together and you just get like tunnel vision.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I think with any kind of craft, I think most people are looking for punishment, just because it's like, I mean, that's not just an art thing. You feel that in everything, you know? It's like, I thought I did a good job. I really got it, but I can see I don't improve me. But I think that's a good thing too. Um, there's a really, I don't remember what this is, so I'm sorry. This is going to be not super helpful, but hopefully the idea behind your reactions. But there was this really cool like documentary I saw a long time ago, and it was this guy and he went around and he was talking to a bunch of very famous like master artists, and he traveled all around the world. He was just asking them all the same question. He was like, "Can I see your sketchbook?" And they're like, "Sure." And they go to their sketchbook to him and he'd be like, "Look, I know what you're capable of doing and what you're able to draw, but why are there just a bunch of like basics and forms and just simple shapes and stuff like that?" And he's like, "Well," and most of them was just like, "Well, you're never too good for the basics. Don't ever stop practicing." And so it's kind of like a humbling process. I know that's not like what everyone wants to do. Everyone want to be like the top of the mountain screaming, you know, getting ready to destroy gods or something. I don't know. But you know, it's just one of those things you gotta just stay humble and keep on pushing. You have any questions?
I know we had some issues in the past with exporting computers into
Yeah, that is a thing, for sure.
Does anyone else like FPX or? Yeah.
Yeah, Unreal contains FBX, UJs, GTS. GTS are really cool files. They allow you to embed and a whole bunch of other things, but you can essentially just take over the whole material textures, just bring it straight into Unreal and set up automatically, which is really helpful. The biggest thing between Blender and Unreal is really just the scale. That's frustrating, but there are things out there that just describe what that process is. But really, it just comes down to, and it's not just because you can compare it to Unreal, it's just having it there. But like being DCC, anytime you take anything out of it, it's bring on the other things, especially once you start doing more complex with like skeletal things and stuff like that. Everything that's added like a new bone or like change something. But it's better than what it was. So it's improvement. Yeah, I would just say like, you know, if it's the scale problem that you're having, you know, just on export like whatever type that you're exporting out, like yeah, we'll have options. So like a lot of times we'll scale up by 100 or something like that. Figure out what that scale is for you. But yeah, I will say, Unreal is, in particular for Unreal, in particular Unreal Engine 5, working from like actual real life scale is probably one of the best things to do. And I mean, like going as far as like like interior. An older method for like Unreal Engine 4 and other engines is like, oh, you have like a single-sided wall or something like that. You don't want to do that anymore. As a matter of fact, you'd much rather have a like geo wall specific type of fitness. So, if it's, I don't know the exact number off the top of my head, but something along the lines of like, give it like a foot or two of thickness. Because Unreal Engine 5 in particular uses what we call distance gauges, and this is how it calculates lumen, which is that software ray tracing, wonderful lighting. And so without proper distance fields, you're not really using the lumen to its best capabilities. So if you ever have problems with just like bringing stuff in and you're getting that light or it's just the shadows don't look right or whatever it may be, you most likely will do that. So it's a weird thing because that's not what they really teach, but everything's kind of shifting to that space now. So you start to see more people saying like, hey, don't remove faces and just keep everything okay. Yeah, and like I said, you guys have questions.
Yeah, I want to say Blender, you can just go to preferences and set the scale, and it would be like universal for all your Blender exports from then on.
Yeah,
You're just doing it real, like just set it right once from the get-go and be done with it.
I'm not an artist by any means. I use Blender to cobble together placeholder stuff with Unreal. And I'll generally export like either just a cube or just a 1 meter tall cylinder, import that into Unity, see how it's scaled and sized, go back to Blender, modify everything so I can get it to orient so that it's not rotated in Unity. Because you can set up in Blender's exports with FPX. And I say this, I am running an older version of Blender, so I have heard rumors that Blender doesn't export FPX as nicely as it used to. I don't know if they're true. But you can get it oriented right, so when you import it, it's handedness in whatever axes are proper. You go to Unity and Y is up instead of forward. It's in Unity's coordinates instead of Blender's. And you get your scale set right, so you have a kind of standard import from there. And then I'll start rotating the axes and whatever it is and throw it together. I don't know if that process would be helpful to you, but it's what I found works for me.
Yeah, no, I don't have the problem with scale. Just kind of get to like codified.
Something you haven't already done 12 hours into and you import it and go, why? Why?
I have a weird piece of advice that I've run into so many times that I always just forget about it now. But when you're making an asset in Blender, you make sure that it's lined up to either be 50 or 100 units basically in real like width if you can, not for like boxes or whatever, for like walls and stuff. Because if you don't have it and you're just like basically dragging it out, like cloning it, and you run into gaps in the walls, that will drive you or whoever's making the levels mad. Because we have like so many assets. So like one of them's like a fence asset, but if you like clone it from 100 units to the next one, it has like this much of a gap between the fence pieces. And like, that's not something you'll notice right away, but it's like you built this entire yard or whatever, and you're like, ah. Then you go in, you have to edit each one and like set the scale to like 1.05 or whatever, and it's like, this is horrible. So that's just something that you run into a lot, but you'll know pretty quickly where you didn't Unreal Engine mess with it.
Yeah, and another good thing that you can do is, and this is the point that you made, is like you could bring the cube in and stuff like that, or you could just take the Unreal Engine. He's 6 foot tall, so you bring him in, you know exactly what scale. And 6 foot tall is a nice comparison to model things too. That's super helpful. I'm primarily pilot, so I can't help a whole lot with the technical side of Blender, but I know a lot of Blender guys that are really good. So if there's ever like a technical problem or something like that with Blender, I'm sure that you but yeah.
We got like 50-ish minutes. So do you guys want to break off and like talk individually, or like there's someone? Is there anyone working on something and they want to show it off? Anything?
But we're supposed to show off Zofia today.
Yeah, she's been showing it off for 1,000 years now.
Yeah.
Now it's 1,000.
It was 6, now it's 1,000. Do you want to show something off?
Not particularly.
I feel that way.
I would have to go like into editor and just want to play through the intro sections without even taking too long. But no, I don't think there's something I want to show off, to be honest, right now.
Probably
Boss
six
battle,
again.
maybe?
There is a final boss battle. It was actually really funny. So, not to get into details, but so I have a sound guy who's been really busy, he's had a lot of stuff going on. Well, he hasn't got to play a lot of like the later content. He's got to play a lot of the early stuff and then whatever. Well, he went into the boss battle, the final boss battle. And he's like, "Why is this guy so hard?" He's like, "He's the most difficult guy in the game. Like, this is ridiculous. Like, how are you ever supposed to beat this guy?" I was like, okay, well, I was like, I'm like, okay, well, you know, you're trying this strategy because you haven't been trying it. I'm like, okay. I'm like, what equipment are you wearing? He goes, oh, I just made a new character. I'm like, well, it is an RPG. That's like, but like your starter equipment's like 2 armor. He's like, is that bad? It's like, yeah. It's like running there with the dagger that's like 2 damage and 2 armor. It's like, yeah, the final boss will beat you up.
I mean, you can do the same thing with Breath of the Wild, right? Just go straight to Yeti.
Yeah, I mean, you can keep your starter gear and just run towards the final boss, I guess. But he's a little harder that way. And I had someone say he was too easy, and it was just himself, so now he has 2 large buddies that help him out. And he's a lot harder now.
Wait for someone to leave a negative review because they couldn't beat the final boss with like 2 armor and one attack.
I would not be surprised.
Sneak past you.
I would not be surprised.
I'm going to leave that review.
You're like, oh, but your laptop.
Got a couple keys, a couple accounts.
Use a review button. You can make it twice, actually.
I'm going to post your name on pirate sites and you can't stop.
I mean, you could. You would go play online, though.
Yes.
Do you like that? Broken.
Oh, yeah, everyone's like,
Okay, were you doing any kind of authentication for that online? Or?
I mean, Steam. I think you can like impersonate or falsify it. Probably.
So I recently had a bit of a personal victory that I'd love to share and shame myself for.
Yes.
So I've been working on the stupid terrain generator for entirely too long, and we're finally kind of reached the point where I said it works enough. I can start taking it back to the project I built it for and start moving forward on that project. Got that where everything's kind of working, the systems are integrated and everything looks great, runs in the editor, no problem, do a build and it crashes. No crash. Just freeze, hang, crash. That was December. Like 2 weeks ago, I started narrowing it down and got crash logs to happen. And today I finally actually figured out what the cause is. So I've been chasing why it behaves differently in editor between editor and build for this time. And in Unity, instantiating and destroying objects are very expensive. And destroying 10,000 objects 25 times in a single frame will cause your game to crash. The part I'd like to shame myself for is there's one place in this entire thing where I say, if your editor, do this, if you're not, do that. It's destroying the stupid game objects. So good news, I know why.
One line.
Bad news, I haven't implemented the fix yet because I figured it out today on my lunch. But I'm excited to finally be moving forward, getting that corrected and implemented, and being able to actually move forward with the rest of that project.
Is it actual one line of code or like 3 or something like that?
So at first I was trying to see if I was destroying objects after they were destroyed and it was causing an issue with destroying a null object. No, the object's never null when it goes to destroy it. But I then added a debug.log line when it goes to destroy the object, it says we're destroying this object. The log file was 11,000 lines of deleted object, deleted object, deleted object, deleted object, and then it just hangs at the end. Re-adding the debug.logs caused it to hang in a way that it no longer kicks out a crash file, but I know where the log file ends. It's between line like 256, where it says beginning to clear children, and 1100,000 where it has the last line of deleted object. So I was going this route to avoid setting up object pooling and recycling them. And now I get to set up object pooling.
What were you hitting the wall in, 6 months or more? At least, it's only said December.
So yeah, I think December is the file of the crash log from the project I originally had the issue in.
Yeah, I just remember you talking about the world generation for a long time now.
World generation, I think I've been working on since, I think 2017 is when
Oh.
I first made a Facebook post about it.
Oh,
It was when I first got the visual results. They were pretty, I liked them, and I can't say that I've been working on that since then, because I have used that to learn my first steps into VR. I used that to learn my first steps into shaders. I used that to learn my first steps into particles. It's just been, okay, well, I have this, and what if I do that with it? What if I do that with it? It went from being its own separate project to being a GitHub, to being, it went from being cloned and copied manually between project and project to being moved over to something that can be copied as a Unity package and just installed with a Git URL. And that was a beautiful change in itself. Now there's only one place where I have to implement these changes, where previously I'd like start a project and go, well, I need an event for when it ends, so I'll add that here. Well, this would be super useful and head over there. I'll copy all these files. Yes, copy, replace. Oh, I had different functionality there that I just removed. Now it's lost, so I have to rewrite all that. Now it's all in one GitHub, and I just go, cool, fix it. And pull. Done.
So when's the game?
I don't think it's not a game, is it?
No, the package is available right now. I can give you a GitHub link. You could go grab it. It does not currently work. I don't recommend it. That's a lie. The terrain itself generates beautifully. If you would like to place trees, rocks, or points of interest, it'll do it. But once you reach the edge of the terrain and it unloads this section to load the next, your game will crash. Every time.
nice.
Alright, so is anyone stuck on anything? I feel like you're done being stuck on stuff for a while. Technically.
I hope so. See what's the release coming.
What about what kind of thing?
Or no, I was just gonna ask, like, weren't there some like kind of like game breaking bug where it's like deleting people's like My Documents folder or something like that?
Me?
Yeah, no, or no, like I'm asking because there was some game, there was a program somewhere, or it was like for some Linux program, whatever batch script they had going. They they meant to like go like into the user's home folder and delete like this config file or whatever, but they put a space between the first slash and home, so it would just interpret the first slash, which in Linux is the root of your install, and just wipe everything.
Oh, I don't remember but yeah, no, I haven't had any bugs that bad.
Okay.
I think most engines will handle that kind of stuff for you, so you don't have the risk of
Yeah.
doing things that bad nowadays.
Yeah.
Remember when Amazon's game was melting NVIDIA cards?
Yeah.
Because their menu was running like 10,000 frames a second, something about like, I think it was a 2060. You got like a 2060 or whatever, like somewhere between that game, this card, there was just like no kind of error checking or stopping it from running at 10 billion frames a second, so it would just explode.
I think it was a combination of like, if your cables weren't up to snuff, it would also.
No, that was a different one where it was probably too much power from the cables and melting them. That was a different problem.
Two different problems.
Oh yeah, these are two different separate problems.
From the same game?
It was Amazon, like it was like New World, whatever their RPG is, but their menu was running at like 10,000 frames a second, and for graphic card it's supposed to not do that, but this one, the firmware just said, okay, I'll do that, and killed itself.
I would say the worst bug that I had was that, and this is like, the setup is like, okay, well, no wonder you can never run into it, but if you were selecting a map and someone was there's like an airship you can drive, if someone was in the airship, then your save would get corrupted when you go to a new map. Because basically, whenever you're in the map, you're not yourself, you're a map selector, character, or whatever. Well, it would go to save your character, and it would be like, okay, well, it's not that person, and you have to keep playing online. So I can't save the character right now. So it goes, is the character in the airship? And it wouldn't double check to see if you're like the person you say you are. Would read the airship characters file. When none of those variables are replicated, so to try and save that, would save the default variables to your save file, basically bring your save file. So,
Have a patch for that, or?
yeah, I patched that. So basically, you would go select a map. If someone else was driving at the time, you would go to the next map, and boom, your default, your level 1 and everything. And it was like, that was crazy to figure out, but very frustrating to figure out. But
So what was the answer? What did you end up doing?
basically a check to be like, are you the person I think you are in the airship? So,
Like if you're a valid character, know this, or
like basically if you're a local character.
or like even check the save file when you're running to see if this is in the character's variable, change it to this, because it's not supposed to be that ever.
If the character you selected is not the local character, you have the wrong character, don't save that down.
Yeah, because there's actually switching and stuff that basically says, is this a local or a remote? Like something, and it's like, this is local. Okay, then you're good. So, not a big deal. But I just didn't have a check in there because that's something that really came up or never really thought about. And well, it came up. That was fun.
You all stuck on anything? Or are we all good?
I have one more question.
Yeah,
Not
cool.
specifically for him, but more just like trying to find the right balance between like having a job and then working on other things, like game development and other things. That's one thing I'm having trouble with is like right after I'm done with my job, all I want to do is go to bed.
Don't find time, make time.
Yeah, that too.
Start early.
And don't let yourself slip with any distractions because then it just gets worse.
Plan on distractions. You need resets.
Yeah, but you need to set hard limits for them.
And when I say make time, I mean 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And when I say start early, I mean, if possible, do your stuff before work.
I get up at 5.
What time do you go to work though?
Well, I work from home.
So what time do you go to work though?
Let's see, I get up at like 5:45. I have to be on queue at 6,
Okay,
and then I'm on till 3.
3 after 3.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
The problem is like, I would like to, since it's work from home, and I'd like to do a lot of things like while I'm just signed in and doing other things on the side. The problem is like, I also have to talk to people, like I get calls. So people call me, then I have to stop whatever I'm doing and talk with them and get that worked out. So hopefully with me getting promoted soon, I won't have to do that. That'll free up a lot more time, but big corporations now take a while.
Yeah, so for me, I have a daughter who is, I love her, but she takes a lot of time.
Thank you, yeah.
And she also likes doing things, fun things like pulling out the computer cords when I'm trying to do something. So that's like a different problem.
Do you switch to laptops now so she can?
No, I don't have I have a laptop. It's not a good one. So no, I spend a lot of money on my laptop. And I don't have that because I have a daughter. So, but anyway, so what I would commit to doing, like, so I'd have a list of things I got attacked in my project, and it would be that where it's like, here's if I can just get one thing knocked out, find the easiest thing on the list, it's like 5 minutes. All I need is 5 minutes. If I can go in there and do the one thing, like I'm good. Even if it's just going in there and be like, okay, I fixed this color. Save, I'm good. And like, yeah, that kind of sucks to not be able to do a whole lot, but like, those little increments add up for sure. Because if you only get like 10 minutes a day, that's still like almost an hour a week.
Yeah, and adding on to that, I find it a lot easier to get motivated to do more work on the game whenever I do choose something like that. Like, okay, I'll start off with this, and then it just steamrolls. I'm like, okay, this is that hard. That might take 10 minutes. I already completed something that took 5. And then just steamroll that way.
The problem is I start doing something like that, and then someone calls me and I have to deal with that.
Yeah, it sucks. And interruptions are hard to deal with.
Is this after your work hours though, or is it still during work hours?
I try to do it like during work, and then a little bit afterwards, I try to find time to work on like other stuff besides game, doing like drawing or working out, stuff like that. And so it's trying to find a door between like the 3 things I want to do with my life. All this span up probably about 6 hours, 5-6 hours a day.
Yeah.
So trying hard to find a balance. Like I found I can do like 2 out of 3 of the things I want to do, but never all 3 at once.
Yeah. Mine's dumb advice, sort of. I make it as easy as possible. So, example, on my desktop, I have the project.
Yeah.
So at any point, I pretty much am one click away from opening the project.
Yeah.
And so I would do yours, make it just auto start when you start your computer. And then it's already up. And then if you're like, oh, I have time, let me see this. Because sometimes, I mean, it's code. You're going to spend more time reading it than you are writing it. Just go in and read it. Did I write this right? Did I comment this right? Did I do this? And then you kind of have it all in your head and you can just go jump into it.
When I was working at Walmart, my 15 should be spent looking at my GitHub with a notepad on my phone going, this line, change this to that.
Yeah.
This line through this line, separate this into 3 functions. Just going through, reviewing it as if it was someone else who wrote it and I don't like them. And just really picking at it. And it could be something like, hey, this function here does 3 things. It has to do all these 3 things in this one function because it's a code routine, but like all these 3 sections could be helper functions that are easier for me to read when I'm reviewing all of it on my 15, so it's quicker when I go to work on it. So I make notes on that and then go home and go to bed and wake up the next day on my day off and then go fine and deal with everything else. It was making 10 minutes to sit down and look over what I'd already done, and so.
Let me ask you this: how many games have you published?
0.
Wait a second.
We made a game
Technically,
this
we
year.
did, yes. So this will be weird advice, but like if you don't have a whole lot of time, I would just work on like a really simple project and just get it out there.
That's kind of what I'm doing, but he helped me with it. I don't remember, but like that 1 week.
Yeah.
1 week I was here. I'm still, yeah, there's been very, very little progress. Well, no. Okay, there's been a little bit, but not as much as there should have been between the time when he helped me and what I right now.
Between like a game jam and like your first project, I recommend copying some arcade games, like old arcade game. Like, have you done Pac-Man or Pong yet in your engine?
Not yet.
I would pick one, do Pong in your engine, because you're in Godot, right?
Yeah.
Yes. See if you can do Pong.
Yeah, there's another game jam going on right now. I just reminded me where it's like for a month, like making asteroids fun.
Yeah.
So that'd be good too.
Something on those lines.
Honestly, starting off when all you've done is a game jam and working on a single project, I would look at game jams that are no longer than a week.
Yeah.
I found that every time I say I'm going to do a 2-week game jam, I work on it for 3 days, get busy with something, and say, oh, I've got time, and it's 4 weeks later.
Yet you worked way less than you would if it was just a 24 or 48-hour game jam.
Even if it's not a game jam, this will sound weird, but like, give yourself like, okay, you're working on a solo project, not related to the game jam at all. Be like, I'm going to work on this for a week, or like do a week-long project, because inevitably it spills over, but it's still like a very small scope. Like you already have that week scope. That's when I was working on that cafe game. Like I gave it a scope of a month, and like I kind of crammed on that, but like, and it was a 3D game. But a month was like, this seems pretty like easy to knock out when you put in that scope. It's like, can I include this? No, that's not even worth looking at. Like when you're looking for a small project.
And I would highly recommend taking Daniel's advice. Clone a simple arcade game like Pong, Pac-Man, even just level 1 of Super Mario. And then copy it and toy with it. Modify it. See what you could change. What if you tried to take Pong but do it vertically instead of horizontally? It's little tweaks there, but then you can start seeing where some of these parts get reused.
Yeah.
And once you can start seeing where, okay, so this works over here, and that same mechanic can be used over here. I don't know how to explain it, but you should start finding how you can get all these parts that fit together. And you sit down to make something, you're like, okay, well, I need this, and I have that from this project, and I need that, and I have that from this
Where you
project.
just build a basic library of how the most basic gameplay functions work, then just tweak those from there.
Yeah. I mean, once you get used to like figuring out like, okay, this is how I make the UI, this is how I make this function work, this is how I make like an enemy move back and forth, like you start knowing all these little design.
And when it comes to motivation, I have started banging over the back of my head that motivation doesn't exist, it's about momentum.
And discipline.
I can't believe in discipline, it's momentum, it's getting started, getting moving. Once you're moving, it's fine.
Yeah.
And if you don't know where to start, pick literally any tutorial and do that. If the person teaching it is a moron and you can't stand them, that's fine. Just get to the end of it. Because then you have something and you can kind of jump off from there. The more places you can get yourself to jump off of, the easier it is to get started. Make it easy, make it obvious. It helps with everything.
I've always really worded that like the shit comes after you start, and that's the truth.
Yeah, like once you actually start to get going, you start to see.
Sometimes you just kind of have to make yourself. I know that's terrible advice, but I find that if I open up the engine and I just press play in the editor and start moving around, then I will very quickly find something that I need to work on. Yeah. Just do this, and then that like you sit down, and you're like, I'm just gonna work on this for 10 minutes, and then you're like, oh, it's 2 a.m. Great, I did a lot of work.
And Bill's just flying around with the camera.
Yeah. I know, like,
Oh, look at this.
no, what I've done is that I just made or start making just a list of like, what is the absolute minimum I want this game for, I want to show to other people. Or like make it a pitch page or put it on a blog or something like that. So that's what I'm doing, that's kind of an end goal.
Does it play?
Yeah, just
Like,
export it out.
Like absolute basic gameplay, yeah.
Screw that. Make a game menu. Can you do it and change your settings?
Actually, you don't need a game menu. You have a play, it just goes to a character, you like fall, flip, and die, and it ends. You've made it.
Yeah.
It's done. You do not need to make it.
I mean,
At the point where the game.
I meant more learning wise, learning a menu.
I mean,
Well,
you want to
yeah.
see how much
You do-
progress I've
Learning a
made
menu is
since
its own
then.
thing, like just make a
I
menu.
mean, it's its own thing, but if the game starts and ends, you made a game.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what the proper.
There's
There's
no
no interactions.
Yes, make a menu
Or is
eventually,
it just
especially if
a-
you're gonna release it anywhere.
Well, you gotta push some.
Just do like you hit the play button and it counts down from
Like,
5.
let's just the time limit you even did the time. But if you press space,
How much would we?
Okay, so you press space to start game,
Okay.
and then you die.
These blue
That's
squares,
a game.
those show
You
hidden
press
ones.
play on DVD and watch a movie.
So once I render the game, you actually see that.
okay, so there are when I would games.
Okay.
Yeah, there were.
So somebody could put like left or right. So
That's what I've done that before as well.
But also to make sure, like, when was the last time you exported out a project?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, if you buy a blank canvas, you know.
Yeah, I play this in outside of debug, it's verbatim, the same,
No.
it's so basic.
It depends where I put it, yeah. So basically what you're saying is if I put it on Steam,
Yeah, there have been.
and if I upload it to Netflix, it's a movie.
Technically,
called like.
you can get Grand Theft Auto on Netflix now, so.
Yeah. So, there was a game that was like in the top sellers that was just like you launch it, it doesn't do anything, it says this is the game.
No, that's not.
No, that's not Crash. It's
It's
like not, it like counts and then,
That's not Crash
you might be
Bandicoot.
thinking that there's a game, there's one that's like, do not play this game or something, and if you play it, it just counts, and then it's like, you did nothing for 5 seconds, and then
Yeah,
as soon as you
no,
push a
yeah,
button,
yeah.
it like crashes the game.
Oh,
It's
that's
like, you did something.
That was
That's
it.
the whole
And it
thing.
had
I think it's just this
1,000
one.
reviews.
Yeah,
Like,
thousands of downloads. This is free, and fine. That was me.
so yeah, it's not saying you're gonna learn from that, but you know, like,
And with Itch's got so little traffic, like you were just saying with that, there's no reason not to just throw just about anything at it.
yeah. I mean, if you want to feel confident about yourself, just go like new releases of itch and try someone else's game. Like some people will have things that are like okay, there's no key that actually operates the game because they forgot to add that in. And you're like, okay, well, I think I can do better than that.
Little Timmy following the tutorial for go down and throwing that on it, things like that. That's cool.
It's just kind of like going to the thrift store. It's like there's a lot of crap, but you find really cool stuff if you dig deep enough.
There's some cool stuff in there.
Interesting.
Itch.
The idea is that you take a sword,
I'm incredibly proud right now, on average, I get about 2 views a week on Itch.
throw it.
That's actually really
So
good.
it's a bit like,
Yeah, I get
Four
0.
projects, so.
I have 200 over the course of 2 years.
then you.
So I don't know if that's like 2, but like that's like one every 3 days.
The idea is that you drag it down.
It's just not
Platformer where you're throwing darts.
Kind of, yeah.
I want to try the Epic Games Store.
And the idea is to kind of like make
But
it.
I have not
very,
committed
very-
to that idea. And everybody I asked, and there are like several people that are like publishing something on there, and like no one's given me an answer.
What do you want to know?
Yeah, we're working on it.
That's my first.
How successful?
We haven't finished yet.
Yeah.
But we got like
As
up
far
to
as the process is really easy, and it's simply getting like
Achievement
just like-
upwards.
well,
But it's
it's
like, I want to know if someone's published it on
Honestly, the
and all
most
that
stuff
Epic
is
Games,
that
like,
I'm using the
what's
basic
the
version.
ratio?
yeah, we're not that
Even
far along.
in
Like we
form,
started the
someone
process
else's
for Emmy, and then
basic
I
house
just
that they
I had to like
There's
get
another stuff.
like tunnel vision on my
Or
other
your
project.
your magnum
There's one
opus.
there,
Yeah,
there's one there,
right.
there's one there.
So yeah, we haven't finished it yet.
and they're usually cheap.
Did you just call her cheap?
Hey, when it comes to
So
art,
Daniel,
there
your
is
next
good art, and
release
there's art I can
from-
afford.
Urban Entrepreneurs coming out first.
Next month, next meeting.
Category.
Oh, okay. When is
Gonna have like
drop
a
or
golf
dropouts?
course and stuff where you want to try to do this
Um,
as few.
I'm not doing it the crappy way. Carissa's doing
So
art
if I
now.
look at one other thing, that you
So-
mentioned, you said talking about deconstructing the game.
It's gonna be
Sometimes
longer,
you stumble
but it's gonna
across
look
better.
better.
And some people like
That sounds
realize
good.
that, where it's like, this is
I'm
a
not
great
using
idea,
stock
it's so simple, I'm
Stuff
gonna make
we're
it.
Yeah.
doing.
Yeah, it's gonna look
Yeah.
good.
I can give you one example, there was a guy way back in the day, he made a voxel game, you pick up a block, you place a block. I'm sure you're.
So not.
The final image push is the next thing.
Yeah.
Is that funny? Pat?
Well, we have two more.
But it was like, here's this little
Visibility
Java
rounds.
game I made, you pick up a block, you
We
place a
do,
block, and like,
are they
go download
worth it at
it,
this
people were
point?
like, oh, this is cool, I built. like,
I don't know.
a
It's still on
bridge.
my
That was
calendar
neat.
to
Then you added
do
more
another
to
200
Minecraft.
levels
So I
in
wanna
April
say
and then the
it
last
started
200
as
in
either
July.
not be from Galactic, but like similar
It doesn't take that much
And he just
effort
realized
to
people were more interested
update it.
in mining and carving holes in building stations. He's like, what if we only did that?
Somebody did
Yeah, I watched
actually
a video
play
like a
the
very
new
long
set
time
of
ago.
200
Basically,
levels. You can see
The development of Minecraft from its very
They're easier,
first public
though.
release. to
You think
like
so?
I made it
1.3
easier.
Oh, okay. I haven't
Like,
actually.
you've seen like the
So
first.
that makes
iteration.
sense.
Here's the other thing.
I think it also
Minecraft's a great
helps that
example
people
of
can
recent.
skip around.
Another studio in
Oh, yeah,
Zofia
we
did
did.
the same thing of realizing.
So
players
you go to the
like
main
doing
menu,
this, and what
every
they
level's
just let them
unlocked,
do
and
that
it tells you if you beat
is
it.
max.
So if you're stuck on one and you're like, I don't want to
They
play
realize
this,
players like creating and designing.
So
What if
it's
we
not
just let
tracking
them
your progress through the game, but you get
play
achievements for how
around
many
with
you beat
simulation?
total. So you can just like jump around to whatever
SimCity,
level
they
you
had a
want to
stupid
try.
colony game way back
We might do a shuffle.
pre-2000.
Yeah, yeah,
it's just,
yeah.
Someone
like-
probably remembers it. loves
That's
it.
like-
That sounds amazing.
So it picks
I didn't
out
know that
levels that you
existed.
have
Yeah,
to
it was like
before.
an RTS style thing. but
Oh,
then
right.
advanced, and you had
And
to
then I
build
guess once you beat the
areas.
game, then you'll just pick them out.
I don't know.
Yeah.
The person, the family
That's
member
an
who I
after
got to play it
Moncon.
from also
Yeah.
had SimCity 2000, and they were like.
I don't feel like that's
I
a
was like, but
major
the
scope.
ants.
No, nothing we've talked about for.
Not like if I was like, hey, I'd really like
And so,
the
yeah.
the autoplay system in again, even though we cut it.
We can put that back in.
No, but like to me that would be a
Mario
huge.
doubled the
I-
speed.
it's
Down like
solved.
half the indie
Yeah,
platforms
3D.
out there.
Oh yeah, you're right. Like,
And so-
did you ever play Tetrasphere?
Don't be
Yeah.
afraid to take what you've already
That was
made and
intense
just
for the
tweak it.
64.
Yeah.
When I
Do
started
any
messing around
like
in
that
game
where it's just like
maker,
wrapped around a
I
sphere?
had a cousin who said, hey, look, we can make games. I said, well, this is great.
You're like, no.
We can.
I was like,
Give it a knock.
I know, right? Like I was,
dots.
well, like I literally,
With berry bushes and active
like I
plant
told
there.
you this, I was working on so many levels
So
one
instead of
night
maze, we just made
that I
sand
closed my eyes and like the dots were like
And
turned
so
to
we
me,
had
like
this
I
Yeah.
could
open
see
space to run.
I know what you're talking about.
this stuff. I was like,
It was terrible.
But no, we fixed the
Oh,
auto
so-
tester, so like all that would need to be done is just go and record
all
new
the
recordings. Yeah.
Amazing. And a
Which I realize
one
that's, like,
level working,
mostly
moving around, working
you,
in time,
but
actually everyone in my family.
if you don't want to do that, I
I've beaten,
totally
I've
understand.
beaten all of those
Then
levels
right now
enough
the
that
eye
I'm
is
like,
here.
I'm
We talked about this earlier. The eye is here and the hand is here.
Well, one of those things where it sounds silly, but you build all these little things, and then 10 years later you look back and go, "Oh, I know what I'm doing." When did that happen?
No, I'm just still not there yet.
Yeah. I will be year 10 next month, and I don't feel there.
I'll probably be 100 and not be there.
Yeah.
I was gonna say,
There's always something.
I am simultaneously there and not,
Mhm.
because there's things like the last time you brought this up, and I like helped you with getting that fixed. For 30 minutes, I was like, I know what
Releasing
I'm
something
doing.
on Steam now, I'm like, it's just like
That's cool.
ingrained in
People
what you
come
gotta
up
do
to me,
to
it's like,
do
I can't
this
push the get
after
button.
doing like
Okay, you haven't
PlayStation
got
and
get anymore?
Xbox. I'm
Yeah. Did you push before you added about get
Yeah, I'm
anymore?
always amused
Yeah.
thinking back on our talk about how to get a game on Steam,
I know how to
how we
fix it.
opened with you have to want it.
Mhm.
And that
You
seems
actually
silly,
remember how to fix it, you
because
don't
you
do it.
compared to like
Oh, no,
what you have
I
to do for
Google
like
git
consoles.
revert,
It does, but you do
don't
have to
undo
want it.
changes. I know what to Google
But
to
like,
Yeah.
literally get the git.
Okay,
command.
I was gonna be like, if you have.
I mean,
git
it's sort of
command
like,
memorized,
you know,
it'd
you
make
go to the
a
gym.
And
It's
no, I
You-
have,
you just,
I
like, are
bookmarked
going
my
up,
favorite git related
you know,
site.
more weights,
Learning
you
my
know, or
language,
more
but it's
endurance
bullshit
or whatever.
Git.
It's like
Yeah.
when you first start out, like the littlest amount seems like a
Mostly
lot,
because if
and
I-
then eventually,
If I have a
okay,
git
I'm ready
problem, I like to go
move
there,
on to the
because
next
if I
thing that
don't
seems
find a
hard.
solution, I
Right.
just feel better by moving. Because I'm not as mad as the person who made this.
No, I was looking at how to do Xbox stuff for
But no,
multiplayer
it's, you
games and all
start to
that.
realize what
'Cause-
what you can do, what doesn't.
With
work.
Unreal
material?
No, just the
what you
XR
can
list.
ignore,
Oh,
and
and
what
I was
you have
like-
to address.
This is like, I mean, I would say a third of the stuff we didn't have to do because we weren't doing online stuff.
Start anywhere, do,
And I'm like, man,
do.
I have to do online games in the future. I should get used to
how it works.
this is the standard now.
I think one of the more important game dev skills you learn are like when you realize like the general flow, like how design work, but like when an idea is something you should not ever chase, and when an idea is something that's like, oh, that would be easy to do. Because I see lots of people that like are very into doing that. And they're like, I'm going to do this. I'm like, that's such a terrible idea. I wish I could emphasize that even more. Like, do not do that idea. You are going to like beat yourself up with that. And it'll be like something really simple, like, oh, I just want to make like 30 playable characters. No, send back. Do it knowledge.
Build one. And then build another.
Yeah.
No, build a skin for someone.
Yeah, that's another.
Yeah, right.
And then realize it's too much. But yeah, you'll see that. I was like, I'm gonna make a person shoot. It's gonna have like 50 guns. Like, no. Build one with like
It'll have
20 guns.
3.
Yeah, 3 is
maybe.
good. OG Halo has like 9. It's like, and that was good numbers. But it's like that's actually
And
close.
modern Halo has too many.
Yeah, modern Halo is
How many, what, weapons or?
Yes.
Yeah, you just gotta remember, most people are just gonna use Luke 5 out of those 30.
If I
Yeah.
find
Once they find a minute.
and then find the one that I think is one thing, I pick it up and it's not that thing, there's too many.
Yeah.
You know, Halo 2 is coming back soon, right? Like on the original Xbox. Because they have have you heard of Insignia? It's like this community rebuilt Xbox Live, the original Xbox. And they're going to bring back Halo 2 in a couple weeks for the open beta.
So me and a friend were playing through Halo 2 last weekend.
Yeah, but this is like online
Cheap
multiplayer.
collection, multiplayer.
Yeah.
Like, no, no,
Like,
no, like Halo 2 on the original Xbox.
oh.
On the original Xbox Live.
Yeah, I don't want to dig that.
I can do it on my
storage,
monitor
replace
PC.
capacitors and rebuild it.
It's just one you got to rip off.
Do you really have to rip one off?
It's a lead acid capacitor, so over time it goes,
yeah,
and it's like,
they're dying in storage.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, you have to replace.
Well, I know a
it.
lot of used video game places, they're like, we're not touching, unless it's the disc, we're not touching an Xbox, like controller or a console.
I mean, the original Xbox, the only thing that really breaks over time is that clock capacitor, which I pulled mine out, mine works fine.
I don't think it's good for the Linux server for retro gaming, but.
Oh, yeah, it's really good for that. But
Alright, we have like a few minutes left. I have random questions for you, Dave.
All right,
On the
throw
road
my-
stuff, so if you guys want to listen or talk amongst yourselves, go ahead. Alright.
He's like, what pulls out the
that too,
notepad.
I've been-
Sort of.
Someone who.
Okay.
Once a week.
What?
Just sit down.
All right.
On their project.
Rephrase this.
Because then
You have
creating
game mode, game stage, player controller, player
Did
choice.
you get it?
Alright, if I want to hold,
But the problem is,
I have
I'd be
to
able
have
to
scores.
select that
So
one.
it's like, okay.
And like,
You're
it
gonna
doesn't,
get on like
it
3 or
doesn't
4
actually
different
happen.
maps.
It just makes me.
But it's all gonna be in the same game mode, but it's all different maps. So it needs to redo that. What's this on? If y'all wanted that score to say,
I don't want to say.
what
it's-
videos would you use?
I guess.
That's what I thought.
And that's really a great way to talk, because this goes to the So,
Yeah.
that would be my I'm pretty sure one.
Because I'm reading all of it. Like the actual shooting and stuff.
Yeah, there was the word tight.
So-
So I got this T-shirt, which is
The main part was, if you're shooting and doing a line,
And I got 50
does that
bucks.
mean that happens on the player or the player controller?
And all I had to do was shove my face in the pie.
Online. So it's a client.
Just one. Everyone keeps
So
on asking me
I would do
that.
on the player
They,
itself.
you
But I
can't use
have
your
it on.
hand, you
I'm not
go
even
like
gonna-
this,
if you want
and then you
to
had 60 seconds. So I had 60 seconds to consume as much pie as possible.
It doesn't need to detect players, it's detecting the block.
Yeah, so, all right, I'm gonna throw this out at you. This is look on, is used for player controller. Things that overlap between like the main menu and when you're actually in game should go in player controller.
Nice.
Everything else will go on either the player or the game.
Oh, that's pretty scary.
But so like, pull up the options.
I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try.
And that should be the controller. Because that's the same thing you use the menu, same thing you use the game, escape menu, you use that, on the controller. So you have a lot of logic there. You refine it, all done it, but the player itself will be like, here's the game logic, here's how you jump into the thing.
That checks out.
So, does that make sense?
How much progress I can make with.
Oh, God. And you don't just.
And if you have like a vehicle or something, that would be also an overlap where like things.
Blind spots on this beginning of the project.
We don't feel like it's that hard to explain. You'd look at it like, oh, you
By
should do
far
this
the
and
most
that.
productive at it.
So you drink something and you progress this. And there's a bunch of blocks.
So, what you're gonna actually do with that is you're not gonna, this is getting to the high level here. For a line trace, you're basically gonna say, you're gonna have the client go, okay, I'm here, I may be here. And then you're gonna have the server, and the server's gonna actually trace itself and tell you what it did. Now, you don't have to do that, but that's just so you can line.
And then I like look back and I'm like, wow, that was February. That was all of February. That's
I mean, you can
basically-
tell the server that you're
But then, yeah,
here.
but then I look at like my.
There.
This feels like you built up.
You could. That would be
Yeah.
also really
Holy fuck. I gotta scroll down to see all the shit I
and
did.
figure out a vector. I mean, it wouldn't be possible, it's like that's a hacker, but it's possible.
I'm not really worried about hackers. Yeah.
Oh, then just run it all.
Yeah.
Then just do a line trace and tell the server, this is who I killed.
Well, when you're actually
Also,
killing
state
anyone,
where I would
pull
show
up
a
blockers standing on people.
Okay.
like at a convention.
I would still avoid that, because then it'd be like trivial to basically be like, hey server, I hit all the
So,
blocks
like,
all at once. And he goes, okay.
First top,
No, it does do that. It's called the Big Boom. It's their version of shotgun.
Okay. I mean, you can do it.
Oh, you found it. I thought you just said about we're on the trail.
But no, yeah,
And there was
that's how
just
I would
a
do
pool
it.
of rock
Where it's like you
over
draw a line and you say, or you get the 2 points and you tell the server.
Well, I have different ones. There was
Okay, so this is sitting rock.
line traces for just a general gun.
That makes more sense. I do have a rock that I said this is a cool rock.
Well, they all more or less.
So I've done that before. That's what I thought you were
Yeah.
saying.
What's my option?
Yeah, that's what I figured.
Yeah, that's all you need to do. And then the server will just be like, is it a cone? I'll draw a cone. Is it a
When you say
sphere?
server, so it's when I'm coding it, it's coming from the player, and I need to say on server run this.
Yeah.
You said the
Okay.
Yeah, so you don't even say on the player, it's just default code basically, and then you say yeah, on server.
Let me.
It's got a lot of scope.
in the project.
Yeah, let me pull. Well, I can't pull up the current one because
is not gonna change from level 1.
I need to have the
I moved them all.
Unreal sessions
like
in there,
one folder above.
It's just gonna be guys going from one.
and I don't have the old version on here, so it doesn't matter.
Fighting each
I'll
other.
just like remake the folder I got rid of.
Not too much.
I can't tell.
So game state is where I should keep the
I
score.
believe so.
Because I'm putting the timer on the game mode.
Yeah,
And then, because it just needs to,
because it'll need to reset every time.
yeah,
Yeah, so it'll be
so I'm
game.
not worried about that. I got the player, I got it to where it's, like, the sessions can go and then you can change the character in the menu tab, like if they're all together, or you have the default character, so it just goes to the session with your character and how it's being set up. Is there any weird, like, replication of the character? There are replications. I said,
That sounds,
I'll get
this
into
is like
that.
the same way when I went to Denver.
Thanks for
Where
question,
you
yes,
go
there's lots of
from,
geographic.
Denver to like the mountains. You go
The, the biggest one I ran into
And
of
it's
all
like
time is client cannot
And then you
replicate
drive by the
the
road,
its own
Except
product.
like a whole bunch
Um,
of space.
And so there's lots of things where it's like, oh, well, they interact with this thing and that'll be on the server. It's like, no, it doesn't have a choice to put it on the server. So you run into that a lot. But like that's my, that was
But I
the
don't
crux
feel,
of it.
I don't feel like I have that many interactions.
Maybe it was
a free weekend or two.
Like, once I got a few figured out.
Yeah, it's gonna do bigger than
Just
this.
like
If
you're-
you don't have the basis for it, it should be fine. It's just when you start running like.
No.
There's lots of.
It's a really nice
Yeah,
place.
Hey, Monopoly funding sucks. We're making new Monopoly.
I'm gonna get it started,
Starting up an SS Park
and then I'm scared of, yeah, I'm gonna bump it.
You filed a.
And then I'll be like, I already know, like, so I'm finding out.
It's fine.
If you do it that
I
way,
gotta
then you
do
can
some
sort of
figure it out.
My
Maybe
mom
it's
brings
not.
birthday taxes.
So like I do all the
If you
things
do it as
like
like a multi-person
it looks
LLC,
ugly
like,
though.
you just
I made everything base so that I knew exactly what I wanted to change. So it's like, oh, this white thing needs to be something that matches each other. But also, I have it all set up good on a mouse. And nothing else is actually
yeah, that's the first step.
so like getting it on Steam and having it on a mouse or whatever, I'm not worried about that. But like controller ready.
I was just telling Daniel, it's like, it's all Daniel, you did LegalZoom, right, for your LLC?
Yeah.
Well,
It's pretty easy.
You got hired at Amazon to
I haven't done it. I'm wondering, should I be scared of it or should I just do it?
I can ask this part, and then we did that for 2
Okay,
or 3
I
days.
think
Yeah,
I've
we
seen
wanted
starts
to-
and build businesses and other
Make your own brand.
Do it.
There's no,
There's
there's no financial obligation to that.
It stops being
You're
I'm
not
not
doing
doing
it.
it.
Yeah, it's like 25.
Pay me $100
So it's like, you're not, they're, yeah.
Yeah.
Restaurants.
The
ones
where
you could just.
So I think you should, because even if you don't use it and you're like, screw it, I'm gonna become a baker, you can use your LLC for that and jump to whatever else you want to.
I feel like every time
I have a little.
Yeah,
What's he doing? I think he's.
I bake all the time, so it makes sense.
He just,
Treat my servers.
he's
Yeah.
been working at Amazon and
Need
just
that one
is
for
like
give it
living
straight
off
and
of
then.
his stock options and just trying to.
Bed tonight around midnight.
And so
After
he's-
out of the oven.
2 years. I
That's
don't
why
know how
bakers
much
wake up
he's
at 3 in the
making.
morning.
Because I
Yeah.
remember when we hired, my first job was making like 65 a year, which is obviously pretty good. And he made some comment to like, oh, but you said your income was still paying less in rent for me.
Is there any-
Slowly give me, because I got my car.
Yeah.
Obviously, on the loop,
I got
Way
the
of
job.
figuring out
But
what is their shopping on
the
clients?
amount of money you have to start, but it's like travel.
Well, it's a matter of.
It's like,
Like a,
it's a great sport, but
there's
not-
yeah,
And if you're worried about
Like,
it,
less viable.
Really weird logic behind this, like,
you're gonna use your.
because I try and read the online sessions.
Yeah.
And like, I'm like, oh yeah, I get the theory of this, but every time I practice it out, I'm always like, wait, is this gonna be fine? Because like what I started doing was, I feel like I'm joking around.
Oh, I remember.
You know, you can go to like standalone, list the server, all that. I started going to like list it for clients.
Yeah.
So that's the third one. And then trying everything out and testing, like, okay, did this shoot? No. Okay, this needs authority, this needs this.
So,
Like, what's your way of doing it?
95% of the time in Unreal, if something requires authority, it'll say it. We'll have a little picture of the server in the corner of the function or whatever.
Yeah.
Or the node, so you'll know if it requires a server at that point. But there's also a lot of things that just, that you cannot change. Like, you can't change visibility of the client. That will do it, replicate or whatever.
You just draw it.
You cannot show access to the client. So like something,
But you just tell it to go on that server.
Yeah, I need to play that.
like the server will destroy a client.
I know, I'm a client and I shoot a block. It's supposed to blow up a block. I tell it, hey, run server at this event.
I know for Unity, what you would do is set up RPC from the client to the server, the data that you the server has.
Yeah, I think I agree.
And then the server runs the
You
RPC
create a
call,
building.
the function related to the RPC call.
Yeah, create that building,
Yeah.
build other buildings.
Do they have like a breakdown of Unity in Unity that's like, hey, this is the way you should set it up
Why
correctly?
is that? Why is that?
Okay, because that's what I was trying to figure out. Like, do they have something like that?
Unity's application is brand new.
Oh, okay.
And that one kind of does. It's got some general examples, and it's mostly, you can either be,
Yeah, there's lots of really good StarCraft games.
Because I went there to
Server
play
authority,
and I don't think that's a
client
place
authority.
that somebody's like,
I
yeah.
think there's some
yeah.
hybrid between.
But
But by
was
default,
there
it's
with
server
my
authority,
family,
and so
And it was still.
if the client says a number is equal
For
to
the
5,
people
the server
there,
says
I've never been
10,
in a place where it's
it's equal to 10.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
really
For
happy.
client authority, if the
Everybody
client
was
says 5,
super
the server
like
says
happy
5,
to
and
be.
it's
Well, I
happy.
think we'll have like
Also,
two or three lines.
Server
Yeah,
authority,
but
if the
like,
client says
yeah,
blow up
well,
wall, the server
people
says
that lived there were like, this is new.
Client says,
Great,
hey,
that's-
do this poll. Server says,
Like,
okay.
it's like really.
Yeah, that's it. So it's like what we talked about drawing the line earlier. So it's like, okay, draw this line here, and the server says, oh, the block there, destroy.
Not like-
And once it's destroyed in the server, if it says replicate, it's all it's fine. We're done. You don't have to do anything else.
Depending on how much data the server is keeping track of, you may just be able to tell the server, this player is firing
Wanting
at
to go
five
back
people.
to something.
And then the server goes, okay, we know where that player's at, we know where they're looking, and so we know where that line's already going to be. We don't have to send 2 vectors over to make it happen.
Yeah.
But like also just exploring.
Yeah, the two vectors thing is an example.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's lots of ways you can
Also,
do it.
On the same subject of vectors before, it's been my last question. Well, yeah, I think so.
I don't believe it.
I do. All right. I have it going, used to have it, like, from the screen, here's the player they're shooting, and wherever the center was of the screen, that's where you go. But what I'd run into is, I would be under a block and like trying to shoot someone above or shoot someone below, and it would shoot the block also. So I have it going, hey, here's where the player's at, here's where I think is the center of the screen. Let's do that now. And I don't
Is
know.
it first or third person?
Third person.
Okay.
I know, right? First person, I had it down.
Wait, so, okay. Well, I'm gonna example this. So
Basically what I did
I'm
was-
the cop and the camera is being blocked by this thing. You're shooting this, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so all you're gonna do is you're gonna draw a trace line and you're just gonna do it from wherever you're aiming with the camera.
Mhm.
And then that would
You're playing
okay.
Skyrim or something like that. Let's say right in the middle of combat, everything. and you load
Okay,
it
yeah,
up.
you're saying do the trace backwards, start at where you're looking from the camera.
I mean, you don't have to do it backwards, but yeah, you just get both of those points and you just say between those two.
I have a lot.
It'll be a slightly crooked angle, but it should be fine because
To
that's
say,
how.
the stuff I've done with third person, I do get where they're aiming from the camera point,
Yeah.
but then like do my trace from my character to there
Yeah.
to determine hits. Since you can see the character, you can see I'm blasting away, but I'm hitting this thing. You can usually go, okay, I'll move.
Like I just.
And it'll be fine.
Yeah. That's all that matters. And you just say, like, I'm getting that point when I'm looking at the camera. It's over 2,000 units. I don't care about it after that point. Like, it's not a hit, don't worry about it.
They only go so far. So like,
Or you
this is the question.
or just grab that point 10,000 units away, so you're just shooting in the air, I guess.
Well, because like one is, I call it a lollipop. It does a line trace. Say it hits the plate, then wherever it hit, it doesn't care about the initial line trace. It just wants to know exactly the point that it hit, and then it does an explosion, and then says do a multi-sphere around and find all that stuff. And so it looks like a lollipop.
An AOE.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why I call it lollipop. But I was like in the particle effects. All right, I'm gonna shut this off.
And then load it onto the.
Wish I